All right, I'm here to confuse people and blow some minds. This is a follow-up to my video on why Christianity is not masculine. And after some really excessive back and forth in the comment section on this, it occurred to me that I think what Christians are trying to do is there are clearly some positive qualities that Jesus has. We can all acknowledge that. And, masculinity has acquired again, after decades of feminism, a positive valence again. Like, it's good to be masculine again. And so, God being, as Robert Barron says, not one good thing among many, but goodness itself, is, of course, not one example of masculinity, but masculinity itself, and therefore, must be the pinnacle of masculinity. This is, as I pointed out in my last video, not true. Not just because masculinity has a negative side to it. It would be silly to the logic would hold that God is also the source of all femininity, and so by that dint also the pinnacle and peak expression of the feminine simultaneously with the masculine. This would make Jesus both maximally feminine and maximally masculine in the same person. Believe this if you want. If you do, though, you might have some some explaining to do to the LGBTQ community that you've been disagreeing with. But I don't think you need to go that way. I think there's a better term for this thing that you've been trying to give to Jesus. And the term is not masculinity. It is heroism. Jesus has masculine qualities, but he's not peak masculine. Samson was more masculine than Jesus. But Samson was not more heroic than Jesus. I'm saying this as an unbeliever, as a non-believer, quite strong anti-Christian in fact. There is no greater hero in history than Jesus. Not Achilles, not Hercules, none of the famous Romans or Greeks or berserkers or any. There is no greater hero than Jesus. And my source for this, who never talked about Christianity or Jesus specifically, but who outlines what heroism is all about, is Dr. Greg Naj here. I can't recommend The Ancient Greek Hero in 24 Hours highly enough. I had a wonderful conversation with him you can check out on my podcast. And I encourage you all to listen to that and to read his books. But the gist is that the qualities that these tradcon Catholics and orthobros are ascribing to Christianity, to Jesus as examples of masculinity, namely self-sacrifice, are actually not core features of masculine virtue. If you are and your family are hiking and you are charged by a bear and you are prepared, so you brought a gun and you pull out your .44 Magnum and you shoot the bear dead in its tracks and you save your family's life from this hungry bear, that's pretty masculine. Does it become more masculine if you get killed in the process, though? Is it more masculine if you kill it, but it manages to get you and maul you to death before it finally succumbs to blood loss and falls over? I don't think so. It might be more romantic. It is more tragic. But it is not more masculine. It's wanting in a kind of, in at least a degree of competence that would have saved your life, which is a core masculine virtue. And here we're not saying that Jesus lacked competence. He was purportedly a master of the law and presumably a skilled carpenter before that. But that self-sacrifice element isn't necessary to save your family from the bear. Now, there are circumstances in which courage and correct prioritization might call for that, but it's still better to not die. Masculinity is at its root more about the willingness to kill than it is about the willingness to die. I will leave it at that. And yes, I hear you Christians who bring up Revelations. We all know. That's, of course, not the point in question. The question is the matter of the cross. And while self-sacrifice and even suffering are not necessarily core elements of masculinity, they are core elements of heroism. And the way we can all validate this, even the non-Christians here, is that what heroism is about, heroic idealism, we're talking heroism post-Homer, is about the pursuit of immortality through the word. That's the aspiration of the hero, consciously or unconsciously. Or if he doesn't pursue it necessarily intentionally, that is his compensation that he's rewarded with by those who are gracious for his sacrifice and for his suffering. Immortality in song. Who has more songs about them than Jesus? By the standards set forward by the Greeks, hundreds, if not perhaps 1,000 years prior to Jesus even being born, Jesus wins that game. And I'm not coming up with this ex post facto to try to ameliorate any hurt feelings I may have caused. I want those feelings to stay hurt. The people who have been pushing this largely don't know what they're talking about. Many of them are new converts. They're glomming on to political motives. They want to save the West or whatever. Their heart is not in heaven. Their heart is not in the right place. They are not good Christians by their own standard, and they should be corrected on that. However, if I offended any sincere Christians who are just trying to be good Christians and look to Jesus as an example, and they're like, well, I know masculinity is good, but so Jesus was masculine, right? I think Jesus as a hero is a more refined and precise term for what you might want to call Jesus. And like I said, I'm not making this up to ameliorate hurt feelings. I wrote this over a year ago after doing some research, like I said, reading Greg Naj's book in particular. And the specific chapter, if you'd like to read, is The Ascendance of Aletheia, Jesus, which you can see I actually did write. I'm not making this up. He is the best example. And I leave it to you to both read that if you're curious, and also to understand what the distinction is between the hero and the man, which is, of course, what that book is about. So hope that clarifies things, and hope that if it doesn't totally make you feel better, at least gives you a foundation for what might be a stronger position. Because, like I said, I'm not here, like I said in the first video, I'm not here to bash Christianity. And many of the sincere and serious and curious Christians who viewed that very quickly understood that it wasn't an attack on Christianity, even. It was an attack on people who are not seeking after God, but seeking after masculinity, and thinking that God will be a path to that. You have to give that up if you want to be a Christian. You have to put masculinity, you have to put nation and family and anything else on this earth behind you if you want to do that. Now, you might get some of those things in return, but that's not your choice to make when you choose the life of faith. If you are willing to take thoughts from a non-believer. Anyways, hope that helps, and if nothing else, inspires some thinking and perhaps more digging on your end. Enjoy and have a good evening.